Chosen one. Have you been feeling lost, disconnected, like nothing in your life makes sense anymore? It feels as if the world around you is fading. The things that once brought you joy now seem meaningless. The people you were once close to feel distant, and no matter how hard you try, it's like you don't belong anywhere. You are not going crazy. You are not broken. You are undergoing a sacred transformation, known as the dark night of the soul. This is not just an emotional breakdown, it is a spiritual awakening. In this video, we'll uncover what the dark night of the soul really is, the 7 undeniable signs that you are going through it, how to navigate this period and emerge stronger than ever. Stay with me till the end, because the final stage of this journey will change everything. What is the dark night of the soul? The dark night of the soul is an ancient concept. Mystics, prophets, and spiritual leaders have all spoken of this profound experience. It is the complete dissolution of everything you once believed to be true, a process of spiritual death and rebirth. When your soul is calling for something deeper, the universe strips away everything that is not truly you. It forces you to confront your illusions so that you may awaken to your higher purpose. But before the light, there must be darkness. Let's explore the 7 undeniable signs that you are going through this transformation. 1. You feel completely lost and disconnected. Everything that once made sense now feels meaningless. You're questioning everything: your purpose, your beliefs, and even yourself. The passions you once had, fading, the beliefs you held on to, shattering. Why is this happening? Because your soul is shedding the old version of you. You are no longer aligned with the illusions of society. Your spirit is pushing you to seek a higher truth. What to do? Accept the uncertainty. It's okay to not have all the answers. Detach from external validation. The old world is collapsing for a reason. Trust that a new, deeper purpose is unfolding. 2. Intense emotional turmoil. One moment, you're fine. The next, a wave of sadness, fear, or anxiety crashes over you. Old wounds are resurfacing. Childhood trauma, pain you thought you had moved past. Why? Because in order to heal, you must first feel. The dark night of the soul forces you to confront your buried emotions so that you can release them once and for all. Do not suppress these emotions. Let them move through you. Journaling, meditation, and shadow work will help. This pain is not punishment, it is purification. 3. Isolation and loneliness. People don't seem to understand you anymore. Conversations feel hollow. It's as if you're living in a different reality. You feel disconnected from people, even close friends and family. It's like no one truly understands you anymore. Why? Because your frequency is shifting. You are ascending to a higher state of consciousness. Not everyone is meant to follow you on this journey. What to do? Embrace solitude. This is where deep transformation happens. The right people will enter your life when the time is right. You are never truly alone. Your spirit guides are with you. 4. Nothing seems to be working. No matter how hard you try, everything seems to be falling apart. Your career, relationships, finances, obstacles keep appearing. Because the universe is forcing a reset. It is removing what no longer serves your higher purpose. Let go of resistance. The old must collapse before the new can rise. Trust the delays. They are divine protection. Surrender and allow the universe to guide you. 5. You feel like giving up. You feel drained, exhausted, and question whether you can keep going, like you have no energy left to fight. This is not the end. This is the turning point. What's happening? Your ego is dying so your true self can emerge. You are being pushed to surrender completely. The darkest moment always comes before the breakthrough. Breathe, rest, Let go of expectations. Remember, this suffering is temporary. Hold on, your transformation is near. Your greatest strength is being forged in this darkness. 6. You're losing interest in the material world. Money, status, and possessions don't hold the same meaning anymore. You crave something deeper, real truth, real purpose. Your soul is craving deeper truth and meaning. You are awakening to a higher consciousness. Explore spirituality, meditation, and personal growth. Seek fulfillment in purpose, not possessions. 7. Signs and synchronicities appear. Despite the darkness, signs appear. Angel numbers, powerful dreams, strange coincidences. Why? Because the universe wants you to know you are not alone. Pay attention. These are divine messages. Trust that you are being guided and are on a divine path, even in the darkness. Keep going. Your rebirth is near. The light after the darkness. The dark night of the soul is not your end, it is your rebirth. You're shedding the old to awaken your true self. Stay strong, chosen one. You are emerging as a higher version of yourself, stronger, wiser, awake. Like, subscribe, and drop 777 in the comments if this resonates. Amen. Messing with a chosen one? That's not just disrespect. It's a spiritual offense, a cosmic misstep. Because when you touch what's sacred, there are consequences not from man, but from the divine. In this video, we're diving deep into why it's spiritually dangerous to come against those who are chosen, anointed, and protected by God. 1. Divinely covered, spiritually shielded. A chosen one may look ordinary to the outside world, but in the spirit realm, they are surrounded by fire. Not just any fire, divine fire. They are covered, not by titles or status, but by sacred authority. You see, when God chooses someone, He doesn't send them into battle empty-handed. He wraps them in spiritual armor, cloaks them in unseen light, and assigns heavenly forces to walk beside them. Everywhere they go, they carry an atmosphere. Not everyone can explain it, but they feel it. This is why attacks don't stick. It's why slander backfires. It's why those who try to harm a chosen one often find themselves facing battles they can't explain. Because you're not just coming against a person, you're opposing a divine mission. You're interfering with something sacred, something written in the heavens before the foundation of the world. The weapons may form, but they will not prosper. Not because the chosen one is untouchable by nature, but because their purpose is protected by divine law. Even in silence, they're being defended. Even in isolation, they're being watched over. Even in the storm, they are not alone. This is why messing with a chosen one is dangerous, because when you try to curse what God has blessed, you're not just stepping into conflict, you're stepping into judgment. The universe keeps receipts, and the Most High never sleeps on the anointed. 2. Attacks become fuel for elevation. Here's the mystery most people miss. When you attack a chosen one, you don't break them, you elevate them. Every betrayal becomes a blessing in disguise. Every delay becomes a setup for divine timing. Every heartbreak, every lie, every shut door, it doesn't destroy them. It pushes them closer to their calling. You see, chosen ones are alchemists of pain. They turn spiritual warfare into wisdom. They turn suffering into strategy. They turn rejection into redirection, straight into divine purpose. This is why messing with a chosen one is dangerous. Because when you try to tear them down, the universe turns around and builds them up even higher. It's spiritual law. What was meant for harm gets flipped into favor. Enemies become footstools. Loss becomes legacy. The fire sent to burn them becomes the fire that refines them. And here's the part that cuts deepest for those who come against them. They watch from a distance, as the very person they tried to break becomes blessed beyond recognition. Not because they fought back, not because they clapped back, but because the divine fought for them. The more you press a chosen one, the more the pressure activates their power. It awakens the lion within, and that's when the elevation begins. 3. Their comeback is always divine. You can knock a chosen one down, but you can never count them out. Why? Because their comeback is never just personal, it's divine. You see, chosen ones don't just bounce back. They rise with clarity, with purpose, with a glow that wasn't there before. The fall wasn't failure, it was initiation. They went through the fire, but they came out with gold. They lost everything, but gained themselves. And here's the part the enemy didn't expect. Every setback only activated the anointing. Their pain became prophecy. Their isolation became revelation. And their silence, it became a sacred rebuilding behind the scenes, while others were watching for the worst. God was preparing the greatest plot twist of all, a comeback so undeniable, so elevated, it couldn't be explained, only witnessed. Because when a chosen one rises, it's not to prove people wrong. It's to prove that purpose always wins. This is why messing with them is dangerous. You're not delaying their destiny. You're becoming the catalyst for their next chapter. And when they rise with power, with wisdom, with divine backing that makes the world take notice. Their story becomes a sermon. Their wounds become weapons of light. And those who tried to bury them realized too late they were watering a seed. 4. They carry a spiritual contract. Chosen ones don't just exist, they were sent before they ever entered this world, before their first breath. Heaven signed off on their assignment. This isn't a maybe. This isn't a phase. This is a spiritual contract, sealed in light, anchored in purpose. That's why life never felt normal for them. Why the path was harder. Why the battles were spiritual before they were physical. Because the moment they arrived, hell took notice. But here's the part people overlook. A chosen one's mission is protected by covenant, not with man, not with status, but with the Most High Himself. And here's what that contract says. No weapon formed against them shall prosper. No tongue that rises against them will succeed. Every storm, every betrayal, every spiritual attack will be turned into fuel for the mission. When you come against a chosen one, you're not interfering with a person. You're interfering with divine instruction. That's why the punishment is never from them. They don't need revenge. They don't need to respond, because the contract activates consequences. The moment you slander them, the moment you betray them, the moment you scheme against them, the heavens take note and respond accordingly. Because God does not play when it comes to His anointed. They're not just called, they're commissioned, and every chosen one is born with that silent mark. It's why they stand out without trying. It's why the atmosphere shifts when they enter a room. It's why darkness reacts to their light, because the contract carries weight in every realm. So when someone tries to dim them, they're not just breaking trust, they're breaking spiritual law. 5. They are protected in their isolation. Many times, chosen ones feel the sting of loneliness. But don't mistake this isolation for punishment. This is divine protection. There are seasons where they're pulled away from the world, where they're cut off from people, from opportunities, from anything that might distract them from their sacred mission. It can feel like a wilderness. It can feel like being lost. But the truth is, they are being prepared. They are being refined. They are being shielded. In the isolation, The chosen one doesn't wither. They grow. This is where their character is developed. This is where they're taught by the divine. It's a quiet, sacred place where the noise of the world fades, and all that remains is God's voice. It's in these moments that they learn who they truly are, without the validation of others, without the accolades, without the praise. Here, they can only rely on the Creator. They can only rely on the divine calling that pulses through their veins. This period of solitude is necessary. It's the time for inner healing, for soul searching, for deep alignment. Every chosen one has their time in the wilderness. It's where they're protected from distractions and also protected from people who cannot see their worth. Because let's be real, people can be dangerous. Not in a malicious way, but in an unconscious way. They'll see a chosen one shining bright, and without even realizing it, they can dim that light with their jealousy, their envy, their expectations. So, God removes them from those environments for their own protection, for their own preservation, for their own purpose. This is why chosen ones are often misunderstood, why people can't seem to understand why they're so distant or different. Because in this sacred isolation, they are being prepared for what's coming. And when they emerge from it, they do so with power, with clarity, with a greater capacity to fulfill their mission. Because they didn't just grow alone, they grew with the divine. 6. Their path isn't easy, but it's always purposeful. The journey of a chosen one is never easy, but it is always purposeful. You see, the moment they were called into this world, they were assigned a path unlike any other. It's a path that's full of obstacles, full of trials, but also full of divine intention. This journey isn't a coincidence. It's not just random fate. It's crafted, orchestrated by the divine to fulfill a sacred mission. And here's the thing, the harder the path, the greater the purpose. Why? Because a chosen one's purpose is meant to reach beyond themselves. It's meant to transform lives, break generational chains, and to shift entire realms, spiritual and physical. The struggles they face are not a sign of weakness. They're the sign of a warrior in training. Each trial is a step towards growth. Each failure is a lesson towards mastery. Each hardship is preparing them for greater victory. But the world doesn't see this. It only sees the bruises, the scars, the breakdowns. What they don't see is the sacred transformation happening in secret. They don't see that with every challenge, the chosen one is becoming stronger, more aligned, and more in tune with their divine purpose. And here's where people get it twisted. Just because the chosen one faces struggles doesn't mean they're defeated. It means they're being forged. It's why they seem so unshakable, even when the world tries to break them. It's why they don't give up, no matter how many doors close in their face. They're not relying on their own strength. They're relying on the divine power that backs them. This is why their path seems impossible for others to walk. Because their path was never meant to be easy. It was meant to be a testimony of resilience, of faith, and of unwavering purpose. And when they finally reach the other side of the struggle, when they emerge from the fire, they do so as living proof that purpose will always prevail. So while the world may judge their journey, the divine has already written the ending, a victory so great, so powerful, that it can only be divinely orchestrated. 7. They are destined to lead, not follow. Chosen ones are not followers. They are born leaders, trailblazers, pioneers. From the very moment they step into this world, they carry the weight of a higher calling. It's not just a gift, it's a responsibility. a responsibility to lead by example, to empower others, and to guide the lost. Their path is rarely one of conformity. They weren't sent to blend in. They were sent to stand out, to rise above the noise, and to chart a course where none existed before. The world may try to mold them into something they're not, to make them conform, to follow the rules, but the chosen one can never truly fit into the boxes the world has built. They were designed for something greater. They were made to break through, to shatter limitations, and to lead others into a new paradigm of living. But here's the thing. Being a leader doesn't mean they're without struggle. It doesn't mean they won't face opposition. In fact, it often means the opposite. Their very presence challenges the status quo. Their light exposes the darkness, and people who aren't ready to rise often get uncomfortable. But the chosen one doesn't back down. They don't shrink. They don't retreat. They stand firm, with the strength of their purpose guiding them, with the divine backing them up, and with the unwavering belief that their mission will be completed, no matter what. Why? Because they know they are here for a purpose, a higher purpose than anything the world can offer. So when the world looks for leaders, they often miss the chosen ones. Because the world looks for followers, but God looks for leaders. And chosen ones, they are destined to lead, not just to follow. 8. Energy always returns, multiplied. One of the most unbreakable laws of the universe is that energy always returns. But here's the catch. It returns multiplied. For a chosen one, this is not just a cosmic law. It's a spiritual truth that governs every part of their existence. When they give with an open heart. When they serve, they do so with love, devotion, and compassion. And the energy they put into the world, whether good or bad, comes back to them, amplified, and with exponential power. Let's break it down. 1. The energy they give to others. Chosen ones often feel an inner drive to help, heal, and uplift others. Whether it's sharing wisdom, offering support, or simply radiating love, they act as conduits of positive energy. They are deeply compassionate and often put the needs of others before their own. But what the world may not see is that this divine energy they give out isn't gone forever. It always returns to them, and it returns multiplied. What they give in light comes back in light with greater force. What they send out in love returns as love, often amplified in ways that transcend human comprehension. 2. The energy of their intentions and actions. A chosen one's intentions are powerful, rooted in spiritual clarity and divine alignment. When their actions are guided by pure, positive intent, the universe responds. But if they face opposition or negativity, it's important to remember that any attack against them will also return multiplied. If someone tries to come against a chosen one, the energy they send out, whether it's hatred, jealousy, or negativity, returns to them in a way that is far stronger than they ever intended. This is because chosen ones carry a divine shield of protection. They are covered by unseen forces. Their energy is amplified by the divine, and any negative energy aimed at them can't help but be deflected and turned back with greater force. It's a spiritual law. It's the energy exchange of the universe. 3. Their growth and transformation. As a chosen one moves through their journey, facing tests, trials, and tribulations, the energy they put into their growth is always amplified. They may have moments of doubt, moments of fear, moments of frustration, but every step they take toward their highest self is met with divine reinforcement. Each small victory they experience is met with greater rewards. Each ounce of inner healing is returned as greater clarity. Each act of forgiveness brings them closer to their ultimate purpose. The truth is, when you mess with a chosen one, you are messing with the divine law. The energy they send out, the energy they attract, always comes back multiplied, and it's often beyond human comprehension. So, let this be known. If you try to break a chosen one, be prepared. The energy you send will return to you multiplied. If you send love, it returns as abundant blessings. If you send hate, it returns as amplified lessons. What you sow, you will most certainly reap, but for the chosen ones, it's always amplified. 9. Their karma speeds up. For chosen ones, karma is swift and unforgiving, but it works in their favor as well as against those who dare to cross them. You see, chosen ones live with an extraordinary level of divine awareness, a deep understanding that the energy they put out into the world has an immediate and multiplied return. When it comes to karma, time doesn't operate the same way for them. 1. Divine timing and alignment. The universe operates under divine timing, but for the chosen ones, this timing is accelerated. Why? Because they are living in alignment with their soul's mission, and the universe is speeding up the process of cause and effect to guide them toward their highest potential. When they make decisions, their choices don't just set the law of karma into motion, they speed it up. They don't wait long for the consequences of their actions, whether good or bad, to appear. And here's the catch. The faster the karma, the faster the reward, but also the faster the lessons. 2. Those who harm a chosen one. If someone tries to attack or undermine a chosen one, the universe quickly steps in. Karma doesn't take long to catch up with those who sow negativity, lies, or malice against the divine. When a person wrongs a chosen one, the karmic ripple effect is immediate, and it hits hard. The energy they send out isn't just returned, it's amplified, accelerated, and met with divine justice. The universe doesn't waste time punishing negativity aimed at a divine being. It responds immediately. That negative energy doesn't have time to linger. It's returned faster and with much greater intensity. 3. The chosen one's path of accelerated growth. But don't get it twisted. Karma isn't just about others. The chosen ones themselves also experience accelerated karma, especially when they step into their highest truth and align fully with their soul's purpose. Every action they take, every thought, every word, every choice becomes amplified by the universe. When they make the right choices, divine rewards come faster than ever. When they step out of alignment, the universe corrects them just as swiftly, sometimes through swift lessons that help them grow even faster. Their growth, their awakening, their purpose, it all unfolds at a rapid pace. This is why the chosen ones often seem to achieve spiritual breakthroughs quicker than others. Their karmic cycles are accelerated because they are living in divine alignment. Every action they take leads them closer to their divine purpose, and the universe accelerates their ascension to meet it. 4. Grace in action. But here's the most beautiful thing about this accelerated karma: the grace. Because they are divinely protected and guided, the universe doesn't just punish the chosen ones for mistakes. No, it helps them learn faster. When they make missteps, they don't face unnecessary delays or setbacks. Instead, they're gently corrected with compassion and grace, allowing them to stay on track, learn the lessons, and move forward with newfound wisdom. Karma works with them, not against them, to guide them toward their highest self. In conclusion, karma speeds up for the chosen ones because they're in perfect divine alignment. They experience swift consequences, but the beauty is that the rewards of their good karma are equally fast-tracked. For those who come against them, be prepared for a swift karmic response. The universe doesn't take its time when it comes to divine justice for those with sacred purpose. 10. Consequences are inevitable. When it comes to God's chosen ones, there is one universal truth that cannot be denied. Consequences are inevitable. The universe operates under divine law, and nothing escapes the force of this sacred order. No matter how much someone tries to hide their intentions, manipulate, or deceive, a chosen one cannot be messed with without facing the natural karmic consequences. The law of cause and effect is universal, and it ensures that actions, whether good or bad, will always lead to results. Let's break this down further. 1. Divine justice is unavoidable. Every action someone takes, whether it's done with good intent or ill will, has its repercussions. And when it comes to chosen ones, the universe doesn't play games. Those who try to attack, betray, or harm a chosen one are often underestimating the sheer power of divine justice. The universe works swiftly and inevitably to restore balance. You cannot sow negativity without it coming back around. You cannot set intention to hurt a chosen one and escape the cosmic return. The law of karma cannot be avoided. It is inevitable. 2. The unseen forces of protection. A chosen one doesn't have to fight back. They don't have to retaliate or seek vengeance, because divine forces have them covered. Their protection is absolute. When someone messes with them, they are not just coming against a person. They're coming against the divine itself. The unseen forces that surround a chosen one are powerful, and they ensure that no weapon formed against them will prosper. What does that mean? If someone thinks they can harm or deceive a chosen one with impunity, they will soon learn that the consequences will catch up. The energy sent out will return, multiplied and inevitable. 3. No one escapes the law of cause and effect. People may think they can escape accountability. They may think they can carry out their actions without facing repercussions. But that's not how the universe works. Every choice, every action, every word has its effect. When someone intentionally hurts or wrongs a chosen one, that energy ripples out into the world, and no matter how long it takes, it will come back to them. The universe is relentless. It will ensure that what is done in the dark will be brought to light, and those who have wronged a chosen one will face the consequences of their actions. The great equalizer. You can be famous, you can be powerful, you can have all the material wealth in the world. But when it comes to spiritual law, none of it matters. The universe doesn't care about titles, wealth, or social standing. It only cares about intention and action. When someone harms a chosen one, the universe doesn't look at their status. It looks at their intentions and energy. Consequences are inevitable because the universe will always bring balance. If you hurt a chosen one, you will eventually face the repercussions, and they will not be something you can escape. The scales will be balanced, and you will feel the weight of those consequences. 5. Consequences aren't always immediate, but they are certain. The one thing that is certain about consequences is that they always come, eventually. Sometimes it may seem like someone who has wronged a chosen one gets away with it, and that justice is delayed. But remember, divine timing is at play. Consequences may not come immediately, but they are inevitable. The energy they have sent out will return to them, sometimes even in ways that are far more intense than they could have ever imagined. It could show up in their personal life, relationships, finances, or even in their own spiritual awakening. But trust that the universe never forgets. And for those who have wronged a chosen one, those consequences will find them. No one escapes the divine law of karma. The consequences for coming against a chosen one are inevitable, and divinely balanced. You can't outsmart or outrun the universe. Whatever negative energy someone puts out, whether it's through jealousy, deceit, or malice, will come back to them. So, to all those who think they can mess with a chosen one, remember this. You are not just dealing with a person, you are challenging divine will, and the universe will correct what is out of balance. The energy you send out always returns, multiplied, and the consequences of your actions are inevitable. You can't escape the law of karma. You can't outrun the divine forces that protect the chosen ones. Divine justice is always at work, and it moves at the speed of light. If you are a chosen one, stand tall in the knowing that you are divinely protected. You don't have to fight battles. The universe has your back. Your path is clear, your mission is sacred, and nothing can stop your rise. Trust that your divine shields are strong, and karma will take care of the rest. For those who come against you, be warned. The law of the universe is absolute, and no one can escape it forever. Keep shining your light. Keep walking your path, and know that every step you take is aligned with the divine. You are destined for greatness, and nothing can take that away from you. Like, subscribe, and drop 777 in the comments if this resonates. Amen. Chosen one. There is something different about the way your mind operates, unnatural to ordinary people. Where others break, you restructure. Where others beg, you adapt. Where others collapse, you go quiet and keep moving. You were not trained by comfort. You were forged by prolonged pressure. At some point, your nervous system stopped asking for mercy. It learned containment. It learned control. It learned how to operate while everything else is burning. Most people think strength looks like aggression. It doesn't. Real mental dominance looks like stillness, while reality panics. It looks like watching situations fall apart and not needing to save them. It looks like walking through emotional warfare without bleeding in public. Chosen one. Your mind does not function like theirs. It does not seek relief. It seeks positioning. It does not crave reassurance. It craves clarity. And if what you're about to hear feels like it's describing you with uncomfortable accuracy, it's because you are no longer operating on the human comfort timeline. You are in ascension protocol now. You didn't just become stronger. You became harder to destroy than the environment you're in. Here are the signs you are mentally stronger than most people. Sign 1. You stay calm under pressure. Chaos does not command you anymore. It used to. It used to pull your awareness outward, fragment your attention, convince your body that urgency was intelligence and noise was signal. Not now. Now, when the environment destabilizes, you stabilize. Where others disperse, you condense. Where others accelerate, you decelerate. Where others react, your field widens. This is not confidence. Confidence is a social behavior. This is conditioning. This is what happens when you have stood inside enough collapsing timelines to notice something irreversible. Panic has never produced a correct outcome. Your nervous system learned this without asking your permission. It learned that speed without clarity is blindness. Emotion without structure is distortion. Urgency without orientation is failure. So it rewrote itself, not into bravery, not into optimism, not into performance, into command, not fight, not freeze, not fawn, stabilize, orient, decide. Pressure no longer feels like threat. It feels like data. You don't try to escape it. You let it reveal who has structure, who is performing stability, what is real, what was always going to collapse. You've noticed something most people miss. People don't break under pressure. They declare what they actually are. You don't move when reality becomes loud. You've learned that reality is always loud. You move when the signal becomes clean, when the noise falls away, when the path is no longer emotional, when the decision is no longer debatable. And that is why, when everything around you is shaking, you become still. Not because you are passive, but because stillness is the highest form of control. Sign 2. You don't need constant validation. There was a time when you scanned faces before you consulted your own signal, a time when agreement felt like alignment, when being understood felt like safety, when approval quietly pretended to be direction. That phase does not end with confidence. It ends with pattern recognition. You start seeing something most people never notice. Most humans do not perceive. They project. They repeat what they inherited. They defend their limitations by calling them reality. And one day, something lands with quiet, merciless clarity. If you allow people who have never questioned their own perception to define what you are, you will spend your life operating inside their blindness. So you stop outsourcing your center, not because they betrayed you, but because you finally measured the signal-to-noise ratio of the world. And it was unacceptable. You begin consulting something older than language, older than culture, older than approval. Your nervous system, your timing, your internal calibration. You notice your body knows before your mind can justify. That intuition moves before logic is allowed to speak. That clarity arrives long before consensus ever catches up. Praise starts to feel informational at best. Criticism starts to sound delayed, not because you are untouchable, but because neither one is authoritative anymore. You do not inflate. You do not collapse. You remain. You are not above people. You are no longer located inside them. Your center of gravity has moved. Your identity is no longer negotiated, no longer voted on, no longer shaped by rooms that have never been silent long enough to encounter truth. Your identity is no longer a democracy. It is a sovereign system. And once that shift locks in, something irreversible follows. You become very difficult to manipulate, very difficult to rush, very difficult to confuse, because you are no longer asking the world who you are. You are consulting something that does not lie. Sign 3. You recover quickly from setbacks. You don't call it failure. That word no longer exists in your internal language. You call it feedback. You call it signal. You call it data moving through form. At some point, you notice something most people never do. Reality is not emotional. It is instructional. It does not punish. It repositions. When something collapses, you do not collapse with it. You do not sit inside debris, narrating injustice to yourself, building myths out of disappointment. Stories are how people stay where they fell. You step out of the emotion. You look at the architecture. Where did the load fail? What assumption was false? What timing was premature? What layer was unready to carry the weight? What version of you has now expired? Then you move. Not urgently, not dramatically, accurately. This is not optimism. Optimism is psychological anesthesia. This is strategic adaptation. Your nervous system no longer panics when structures break. It reconfigures. Your identity is no longer welded to outcomes. It is anchored to trajectory. So loss does not register as erasure. It registers as course correction. You do not mourn what failed. You extract what it revealed. Because you learned something fundamental. Pain is not a stop sign. It is a coordinate shift, a change in altitude, a recalibration of vector, a forced upgrade in angle of approach. Where most people ask, why did this happen to me? You ask, where does this place me now? And then you continue, not as the same entity, but as something better informed, less illusion-based, better positioned. You don't bounce back. You re-enter the field redesigned. Sign 4. You've mastered your reactions. At some point, you realize something most people never do. Reaction is how the world controls you. So you stop reacting. Not because you're numb, not because you're afraid, but because you understood that every reaction is a permission slip. You no longer let other people's chaos decide your nervous system, other people's stupidity decide your mood, other people's disrespect decide your behavior. You don't flinch. You observe. You don't explode. You calculate. You don't rush to speak. You choose timing. This is not emotional suppression. This is energetic sovereignty. Your mind is no longer a public space. Your nervous system is no longer a playground. Your attention is no longer a hostage. You've learned to pause long enough for reality to reveal itself. And in that pause, you win. Because the most dangerous person in any room is not the loudest one. It's the one who cannot be provoked. Sign 5. You can be alone without feeling lonely. Chosen 1. At some point, you stopped confusing noise with connection. You realized something most people never do. Most humans are not afraid of being alone. They are afraid of being left with themselves. You are not. You don't reach for people to regulate your emotions. You don't use conversations to escape your thoughts. You don't use relationships to avoid your own presence. Your inner world is stable enough to inhabit. That is rare. That is dangerous. That is power. You learned to sit in silence without needing it to entertain you. You learned to walk alone without narrating your existence to anyone. You learned to exist without being witnessed, not because you are numb, because you are complete. Loneliness is a symptom of internal fragmentation. You are integrated. Solitude does not drain you, it recalibrates you. In isolation, your nervous system resets, your perception sharpens, your frequency stabilizes. While others decay without attention, you compound. You don't chase presence. You choose it. And that is why your company feels rare. Not everyone can afford access to someone who does not need them. You are not alone. You are self-contained. And that is a level of sovereignty most people will never reach. Sign 6. You set boundaries without guilt. At some point, you realize something that cannot be unlearned. Access is a privilege. Not everyone deserves proximity to your mind. Not everyone deserves access to your time. Not everyone deserves entry into your inner world. You don't argue about this anymore. You don't explain it. You don't negotiate it. You enforce it. Not with anger, not with speeches, with absence. Your boundaries are not emotional. They are structural. You don't cut people off to punish them. You withdraw energy because your nervous system no longer tolerates contamination. This is not cruelty. This is precision. You used to feel guilty for choosing yourself. Now you understand. Guilt is just the echo of an old identity that survived by overgiving. You don't overgive anymore. You allocate. Your time is not public. Your attention is not communal property. Your peace is not up for discussion. People either adapt to your standards or they slowly disappear, and you don't chase them. Because when you finally respect your own energy, you stop trying to save people who are comfortable draining you. You are not cold. You are contained. You are not heartless. You are unavailable to dysfunction. And that is what makes you untouchable. Sign 7. You learn from pain instead of complaining. Chosen one, you don't talk about pain. You study it. While others narrate their suffering, you dissect it. While others ask, "Why me?" you ask, "What did this come to remove?" You understood something early. Pain is not personal. It is surgical. It arrives with precision. It cuts what no longer belongs. It extracts what would have eventually destroyed you. You don't romanticize hardship. You don't build identity around wounds. You don't seek witnesses for your struggle. You convert experience into structure. Every loss becomes information. Every betrayal becomes calibration. Every collapse becomes a map. This is why you don't complain. Complaining is how people stay in the same timeline. You move, you adapt, you upgrade. Where others bleed, you recode. Where others break, you reposition. Where others become stories, you become systems. Pain doesn't make you bitter. It makes you precise. It doesn't weaken you. It refines your architecture. And that is why you are dangerous in a way most people will never understand. You do not suffer. You extract power. Sign 8. You delay gratification. Chosen one, you are no longer seduced by the moment. Not because you lack desire, but because you see the cost of it. You understand something most never do. Every impulse is a negotiation with your future. Most people sell their destiny for a brief reduction in pressure. You don't. You let the discomfort stay. You let the craving pass. You let the noise burn itself out. Not out of discipline, out of dominance. You don't reach for pleasure to escape the present. You shape the present to obey the future you've already chosen. You are not motivated by relief. You are positioned by outcome. While others consume to forget, you abstain to become. You choose the long arc, the silent build, the delayed impact. You don't need to feel good today if it weakens who you will be tomorrow. This is not self-denial. This is temporal authority. You don't live in the moment. You command the timeline. 9. You keep going when motivation is gone. Chosen one, motivation is a mood. Moods are weather. Weather is irrelevant. At some point, something in you stopped asking, "Do I feel like it?" and started asking, "Is it time?" That is not willpower. That is identity. You do not move because you are inspired. You move because this is who you are now. On days when the mind is heavy, on days when the body is slow, on days when the world offers no reward, no applause, no sign, you still show up. Not heroically, not emotionally, mechanically, precisely, inevitably. This is the difference between people who try and people who become. You no longer negotiate with comfort. You no longer wait for alignment to feel good. You create alignment through motion. Others need motivation. You have structure. Others need excitement. You have trajectory. They stop when they are tired. You continue because stopping is no longer part of your identity. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. This is not hardness. This is self-respect in motion. And this is why, quietly, without drama, without announcement, you always outlast them. Chosen one. By now you should understand something with absolute clarity. You are no longer built like most people. Not emotionally, not psychologically, not neurologically, not energetically. What you survived did not make you inspirational. It made you structural. Your mind no longer looks for comfort. It looks for leverage. It looks for positioning. It looks for clean signal and long arcs. You don't need intensity. You don't need drama. You don't need reassurance. You move because movement is now who you are. Most people are still governed by moods, by fear, by approval, by the need to feel ready. You are governed by timing, by internal alignment, by trajectory, by something deeper than emotion and older than language. You don't announce your strength. You organize reality around it. You don't seek to be understood. You become undeniable. You don't chase outcomes. You become the kind of system outcomes have to obey. This is not confidence. This is not ambition. This is not healing. This is evolutionary separation. You didn't become heartless. You became unavailable to chaos. You didn't become cold. You became precise. You didn't become strong. You became difficult to exist around without changing. And the most dangerous part, you don't need to prove any of this. Your nervous system already knows. Your decisions already show it. Your life is already reorganizing around it. You are not here to cope. You are here to outlast, outgrow, and outposition. Quietly, relentlessly, irreversibly. Type 1111 in the comments if this resonates. For your own signal to the timeline. The world is yours. Never stop becoming the highest version of yourself. See you in the next transmission. Amen.